the Canon Powershot V1. I've had it for about a month and a half now, maybe longer. Let's talk about it.
Oh my God, I'm just playing with them now, yeah. Oh my God, what she saying, say it loud.
So if you made it past the intro, welcome back. How you doing? In today's video, we're gonna be covering some topics on the Powershot V1 that you've probably seen, but these are just my thoughts and opinions, such as build and design. How does it look? How does it feel in the hands? What is inconvenient about it? We're gonna talk about image quality. How does it look? How does it see? Oh yeah. We'll briefly talk about video features. What does it offer? Why should I get this camera? Or why should I say see you later, dude? We're gonna talk about audio quality. How's it sound? We should probably talk about connectivity and streaming. The camera connect app. I don't even know if I want to cover that or not, dude, because you know how it's gonna go, Canon. Please update the camera connect app. Please. We're gonna talk about vlogging with it, because that's essentially what this camera was marketed for. For people like, not so much me. I like to vlog, but I'm terrible at it. I feel weird filming in public, which is why most of my videos are inside my house. Or like in a trail somewhere where there's no people around, because I'm not one of those people with no shame that I'm just holding a camera in a crowd of people talking to myself looking like a crazy person. You know, then we're just gonna give you my final thoughts at the end of this to see if this camera's right for you. Or if this camera that I'm shooting on right now is right for you. The Osmo Pocket 3, one of my favorite cameras of all time. So versatile, looks great. I should probably do a comparison video between this one and the Canon Powershot V1. Let's jump into it, starting with build and design. So here is the Canon Powershot V1. Ooh, look at it, fancy. You know, it's your standard little point and shoot look. It's a little bigger than the older models. You might remember the G7X. Feels a little bit thicker than that. I used to have one back in the day, but no longer do I have that because something happened to it, I think. So you got the LCD screen or LED screen. I don't know if it's LCD or LED. I probably should know that, but I don't. Here's the screen. It's flippy. It articulates. You can flip it out so you can be looking at yourself, you know, when you're filming. Hi. So when you close it like that, it can be open. You can flip it around, close like that. It feels pretty good in the hands. I'm a bigger person, so it's nice. It feels normal size to me, but if you have tiny hands, maybe it's not gonna feel that great. On top here, you got your control dial of all your modes. I usually shoot in video in the AV mode because I like to prioritize the aperture, because I like having it at 2.8 at all times. You know, I'll compensate for the shutter speed or the ISO because, you know, this camera's not really like artistic. You can shoot in manual mode. I choose to shoot in this mode most of the time. You got your microphone here. It also comes with this little dead cat guy that slips right on there and covers up the microphone, preventing any wind noise. That's cool. Get off now. Also on the top you have your shutter button for still photos, your on and off button, record button, and this little guy right here is your zoom rocker. So if you go back and forth, you zoom in and out. I wish it zoomed this fast when you're recording, but if you're recording it like kind of goes half speed, maybe even like a quarter speed. Look how slow that is, dude. On the front, when you're in AV mode, this ring right here on the outside controls the aperture. So if you look, you can see that when you move that, your aperture will close off or open up depending on which way you turn it. You know, nothing shocking here. Of course, on the back of the camera, you got all your functions, your menu, your play, your manual functions, all of your info and stuff like that. It's all right here. The one gripe I have about this build is on the bottom, and that's with the battery door. If you have this on a tripod, you can't open your battery door. So it kind of sucks, but you know, I've seen other cameras put the quarter 20 mount over here, but this one has decided to do it that way. And inside here you got your card, and you got your battery. On the side here, you got your grill for the fan. Ooh, it cools itself, dude. I don't really care about that. It's not really that big of an issue. I haven't had this thing overheat yet, so that's what it looks like. Feels pretty sturdy. So yeah, moving on to the next section. I can't believe I forgot to mention my favorite test. The test that I take all my cameras through, and that is the car wash test. Alright, now it's time to talk about the lens and the image quality. So the sensor on this is a 1/1.4 inch. So it's a pretty decent sized sensor for this. It's supposed to be better in low light situations. You can tell me how that looked in the car wash scenario, which was the last clip I showed. For still photography, it's a 22.3 megapixel effective pixels, so it's cool. I've taken some photos with it. One of the problems that I have with this camera is when recording video in 4K, it's not cropped in. You can shoot 4K up to 30, but if you want to do 4K 60, it's just cropped in, which, why? People buy this camera, dude, to have a nice wide 16 millimeter. That's the one key draw to this, was being able to hold it here and seeing a lot of shit, right? You want that 16 millimeter that you get from like a 16 to 35 on like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. So having a crop there kind of shoots itself in the foot. I don't understand why they do this, but them's the facts, dude, and that's what they did. It's got a digital zoom up to 10x. It's got an optical zoom up to 3.1x. It's fine. I would equate it to literally the 16 to 35 zoom. So if you're a camera person, you know, 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, it's fine. As Robert Capa used to say, if your pictures aren't good enough, you're not close enough. All right, that's enough of the freaking nerd stuff. Let's get into the actual nitty gritty of this, starting with audio. So, audio test. All right, so here we are on the Canon Powershot V1 using the built-in microphone that's up on top. You hear that? That's what this sounds like. Ignore this. This is not the microphone that I'm using. Ignore the terrible, I'll talk about that in a little bit. The exposure on this is something different. But this is what it sounds like with the built-in microphone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How does it sound? It's about a foot away from my face, so that should give you a good idea of the ambience. I don't think I have noise canceling turned on because I don't like noise canceling. If it is a feature, I'm going to turn it on right now and then you'll see why. Okay, so this is the, it's some kind of like noise reduction. I don't know how it sounds. I remember listening to it before and it usually sounds kind of crappy, if you know what I'm saying. But this is the inside test, so I'm gonna, we're just testing this inside right now, but I'm gonna go outside in a minute, go back to the regular built-in microphone, and then switch back on noise canceling because there's gonna be noise in the background. And I might even turn on my air conditioner here so you can hear what it sounds like outside. All right, let's do this. All right, so here we are. We're outside now. This is the onboard microphone. I turned my air conditioner on so you can hear that there's a lot of background noise. But how does it sound? We're walking to the backyard, taking a stroll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Checking the audio. No noise cancellation or noise reduction. I forget what they call it, but that's what it is. And let's go back to the front, turn on noise reduction, and then see how that sounds. And then we'll go to my favorite feature next, which is adding external microphones, specifically the one that I use all the time, because it sounds mint. Okay, so now I turned on the noise reduction, so you can see for yourself how it sounds walking past the loud air conditioner, heading to the backyard, just strolling around, talking to myself in my backyard like, you know, normal people do. Not a big deal. Feels like it's about 100 degrees today, so that's fun. Gazebo, backyard, here we are. How does it sound? Noise reduction is on. Going back inside now because it's very hot, and I gotta get the other microphone. I do have the dead cat up on top of the camera as well, so that's going to prevent any wind noise. There is a wind noise filter, but I don't like turning on a lot of fake settings, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm filming these things, I kind of forget some things sometimes. I forgot to mention, you know, you got the mic jack, the headphone jack, the USB and the HDMI on the side. I missed that little part in that first part, but you know, you're smart enough to figure that out, right? All right, so now we're on audio test. I just did the onboard mics, the stuff that's built into this, what comes with it, don't need anything, plug and play, just go. But now I'm gonna move into my favorite audio that I use for this specifically is the Rode VideoMic Pro. I plug this in and I put it on auto settings. But you have to be careful with this because when you turn this on, it's got like your settings on the back of it. So I always put it on -10 dB, and I don't do anything with the low cut. I just leave it right there. So it's just set it to -10 dB. And I'm gonna show you how good this sounds on auto. And it actually was shocking to me because when I put lavalier mics into this, there's a lot of extra noise. But with this plugged into auto, you'll see. All right, so for the comparison, this is the onboard mics, and now I'm gonna plug in the VideoMic Pro. Okay, so now this is what this sounds like with the VideoMic Pro plugged in, using just auto settings and -10 dB on the microphone itself. And I think personally, this sounds the best to me in clarity, in deepness, and like just all around, just good quality. Let's take this outside, and we're gonna walk around, and we're gonna talk a little bit, right? Now I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm not talking, and I'm just talking in my regular speaking voice. This is how it sounds. I think personally it sounds really good for a plug and play and for auto settings. Even when you get quiet, it doesn't like do like that weird auto gain thing. With other microphones, apparently it does, but with this one, it seems to just do the job, and it sounds pretty good. Especially if you're in a controlled environment where it's not super loud. It's pretty good, dude. So I'm gonna do the same microphone, but now I'm gonna turn on the noise reduction. Just kidding, you can't turn on noise reduction when you plug in an external microphone. Fun fact, just learned that right now. So it still sounds good. Yeah. Moving on. All right, so we covered the audio on this camera. I think the onboard microphones are really good just by themselves. Like it sounds pretty good, you know? No complaints here, but when you plug in the external microphone, it gives you a little bit of an edge, you know? Especially the VideoMic Pro specifically. I don't have any other microphones, so I really can't tell you otherwise. I've seen a lot of people use other microphones and there's this weird hiss, like when it gets quiet, but I did a quiet moment and there was no extra gain. I noticed it does do that if you plug in the lav mics. So take that into account. Lav mics, definitely don't put that on auto settings. You're gonna wanna set that, you know, in the manual way. It's pretty simple. If you're a camera person, even if you're not, it's right in the menu. It's right there. you know, if you need further explanations and videos, just hit me up in the comments. All right, now we're gonna talk about the connectivity to the Camera Connect app. And I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again, but Canon, you really, really, really need to revamp the Camera Connect app because it is absolutely terrible. This is coming from someone who uses the DJI systems, the Mimo app, flawless. The DJI Mimo app, it's never steered me wrong. There's never any lag when you're live viewing something that you're shooting, but sometimes, for some reason, the Camera Connect app that you tie into Canon, it disconnects, and it seems like if you're more than a foot away from the camera and the phone, like if they're at all apart, you lose all connection, you lose all like functionality. It is absolutely terrible, and I refuse to even try it again for this video because it's not worth the headache. I'm sorry, Canon, but like, come on, man. It's like, it's actually frustrating how bad it is. It makes me upset. So yeah, connectivity and streaming, terrible, don't do it. And if you're gonna transfer a file, I did like a 5-second video. It took like 15 minutes for it to transfer, and like my phone was on top of the camera, and it still took forever. So yeah, you lose points on that, Canon, still. And it's not this camera problem. Like my R8, terrible. You can't do it. All right, let's talk about this camera for vloggers. You're looking at the biggest problem right now for vlogging is, it's the simple fact that when you're vlogging, you're walking, you're moving. You don't have time to sit here and mess with exposure. But the problem with this camera is that when you go in the different lighting scenarios, it takes forever to adjust the exposure for some reason. I don't know why. Like right now, we just went under some cover, and like it does not understand how to compensate for different lighting scenarios. I don't know why, but it just seems to do it all the time. It takes forever. But other than that, holding it right here, it's perfect, you know? It's a nice wide view. You know, you can easily flip the camera around, look at stuff. There's my truck. Flip it back around, you know? Functionally, the way this camera is set up, it's perfect. It has all the ingredients to be such a great camera, but the biggest flaw, and I'm still saying this, it's got to be a firmware update or something, but like, let's go inside and we'll see how long it takes to freaking adjust the exposure. Still dark, still dark, still dark, still dark. And like, it still doesn't ever fully expose right. I don't know. It's frustrating, but you know, it passes the vlog test in terms of how the lens looks, and you know, but like even with the backlight, if there's any backlight, it just freaking readjusts your whole image. It's just so backwards. So put yourself in good lighted situations if you want anything if you want to you know, before you start talking, make sure you got, you know, make sure you're in focus. Not in focus, properly exposed. It's hot, I'm sorry. So yeah, that's the vlog test. Back to you, other camera me. All right, so I'm just gonna go through the pros and cons of this camera, and then we're gonna wrap this up, you know, and get you on with your day. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to take up all your time, and I just want to give you like my full review. I mean, it is a full review, it's not a full review, it's like how I use this camera and like the functionality behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I'm not going into the weeds, you know, like Gerald Undone. That's not gonna happen on here. I'm not getting into the numbers with you. I'm just practically using this practically, you know, practical applications. So some pros. The wide angle lens. You're not gonna find many other cameras with this wide focal range unless you actually use a 16mm. In this size camera, like, you're just not gonna do it. You can get an adapter for the Osmo Pocket 3 where it puts like a little bit more, puts you at like 15mm or whatever, but you know. Other pros. The build quality is pretty good. It's got a nice rubberized texture all the way around it, so it feels nice. It doesn't feel like it's like cheap. And it's definitely not cheap. I just checked the price on Best Buy and it was like $9.79 for this camera. I feel like I bought it like 2 months ago and it was like $8.49. I don't know if that's a tariff thing or something, but who knows. The lens quality is good. I did a video on stabilization a couple weeks back, so if you want to go check out the stabilization on it, it's up there. So it's not the best. I don't like to use any kind of digital stabilization because when you do that, it crops it in and it just looks bad. So just don't even bother with that. Try to hold it steady. I don't know if you hear my dog drinking water in the background, but it's hot, so. Or this fly flying around. Come on now. Come on now. I do like the flippy screen. Come on, go lay down, come on, in here. The flippy screen is nice. I don't really like how it goes out to the side. I like on the G7X how it would go up to the top, but as you can see, if you have a microphone on top, that kind of negates the whole purpose of having a flippy screen. So I see why they did that. So, you know, that is what it is. All right, let's talk cons. Battery life, not great. Plain and simple, not good. Where the battery door is, not an ideal placement because now it's on this little tiny tripod and I can't get to my battery, so not great, not great. Did I mention the battery life? It's not good. The exposure. They really need to fix that exposure time. Every other camera is fast when it comes to recalibrating the exposure for moving shots, going from inside to outside. It just takes too long. You need to fix it, Canon. I'm sorry. You know, you could say, oh, run it in manual, do your own exposure. I could, but that's not what this camera and I use it for. That's not what I use this camera for. It's supposed to be a run and gun, pull it out of my pocket, start recording. I shouldn't have to be out, like, you know, get out a light meter, start dialing in my settings because then you miss the shot. So, exposure's bad, battery's bad, battery door sucks. The Camera Connect app. That's not this camera's fault, that's Canon's fault. All of their Camera Connect stuff sucks, so it's not great. Yeah, other than that, I think the image quality on it's pretty good. You know, it's a 4K camera in 2025. The color science of Canon always makes stuff look really good anyway, so, you know. I'm not gonna get into Canon C-Log because I don't like shooting in that. And this camera, like, it's, if you really want it, leave it in the comments below and I'll make a C-Log video, but I hate shooting in C-Log. I'm shooting on the Pocket 3 in D-Log right now because that one makes sense to go and color correct and correct the exposure, but the C-Log ones, I don't understand it. It doesn't work for me. It always looks like garbage. I never know where to set my exposure, like expose 2 stops above, and it's like I do, and it looks like garbage still, so I don't know. It's probably a me thing. I never did that stuff before. It's like newer for me. I'm kind of just point and shoot, get the shot, and move on with my life, dude. I'm not making cinema here. I'm just using the stuff and helping you figure out if you want this camera or not. Yeah, what else? I think that's pretty much it. I might do a little montage of some stuff, some shots that I get with this, go around the yard, just so you can see like different scenarios. So I'm gonna roll the clips and I'll be back in a second. how was that, huh? How was the montage? Stay hydrated. So yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. If you didn't, I'm sorry. If you did, you're welcome. So with that being said, have a great day. Keep shooting, and I'll see you in the next video.